Tonight, government scrambles for more cash to increase gas purchases to keep the lights on in a desperate bid to avert a full-blown power crisis. As documents exclusively secured by Joy News reveal, government has been struggling to procure enough fuel to power the plants.
We have four challenges. You need to power some of these plants with fuel, whatever the fuel is. I'm being educated that a whole buffer is being put in place so that they supply the requisite fuel, because if we don't, then we are in crisis.
We have the latest on the erratic electricity supply situation across the country as the Energy Committee in Parliament says notice it will not tolerate propaganda when it grills the Energy Minister and agencies in the power value chain this Saturday.
So you cannot come and do propaganda with facts. It will work. If we don't have the power, you can't conjure some propaganda and noise to bring the power. So you need to own up as to why we are having this challenge.
We tell you why Gridco wrote to the Energy Minister warning of likely collapse of the national grid system.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
It is emerging tonight from exclusive documents secured by Joy News that government has been struggling for some time now to buy enough fuel to keep the lights on. The primary reason, you may be sleeping in darkness again tonight. An assessment done by the National Electricity Transmission Body Gridco revealed a significant shortfall in generation, mainly due to insufficient supply of gas. Tonight, the chairman of the Energy Committee in Parliament, Samuel Atachia, says there are urgent efforts currently underway to find money to increase the purchase of gas to keep the lights on. More from him shortly, but first, head of the Energy Desk, Kojo Brace, joins me with details of the Gridco briefing document that we have secured. And Kojo, let's start with its own introduction, because that sums up the problem.
So this is a report on the Ghana power system supply situation and outlook for March 27 to April 2024. Now it says that the Ghana power system experienced challenges of inadequate generation resulting in load curtailment to the export market, including internal customers over the past week.
Okay,
so that's how it starts.
That's so a nice summary there. Inadequate generation. So
Exactly.
from the start, it points to a generation problem.
Exactly, that's it.
So let's talk about generation. What is it? What is a shortfall? What is a deficit?
Okay, so now our total installed generating capacity in this country, Ghana, is 5,626 megawatts. But the total available capacity, as we speak, as of March 26, 2024, was 3,251. So check the deficit there, over 2,000.
2,375 to be very
yes,
precise.
For people to follow us, it says the generating capacity in Ghana is 5,626 megawatts. The total available capacity as of March 26, 2024, was 3,251. So the deficit is over 2,000.
And let's put this in context. This is a briefing document that the Gridco put together, covering the period 27th March to 2nd April. Second April.
Yes.
We're just talking about yesterday.
Exactly.
Ended yesterday. And you notice that this is the Easter period. This is the Easter period. And my sources tell me at Gridco that this was important. The Gridco was asked to do this by the authorities because they wanted to understand what the situation was going to be over the Easter period. And so whatever we are telling you from this document, it is what Gridco knew was going to happen and anticipated over the Easter period.
And indeed, we saw some glimpses of power outage. And it's not
over the period, yes.
I mean, we saw a lot of it happening throughout the country. So
now, let's tell you why you saw that challenge over the period ending yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go into that, Kojo, because let's isolate, for example, the power generating plants that are currently unavailable due to fuel shortage.
Okay, so if we're talking about fuel shortage, then of course we're looking at Senate, which it would have given you because that's for fuel.
It's unavailable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're looking at the fuel bit first. Yeah. So for fuel, Senate, which would have given you 110
megawatts.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is unavailable because
of inadequate
fuel.
gas. Now, if you look at Asogli Phase 1, it would have given you 180 megawatt. It's also unavailable because of inadequate gas. You look at KTPP units, it should be giving us 105, but it also has inadequate DFO stock. AXA unit, 200 megawatt. is also unavailable because of inadequate HFO stock. So that in total, all of this should have given us 595 megawatts. That's a lot.
That's a lot. So that gives you an instant picture of this gas supply challenge that some of the experts have been pointing to. But this is a very accurate picture painted by Gridco to the authorities when they were asked to put this together for the period March 27th to April 2nd. And so they just went through the units are currently unavailable because of the gas fuel shortage challenges. What about the plants that are down right now due to maintenance and retrofitting?
Okay, so we have about 5 of them. You have a Mary unit, which should give you 250 megawatts. It's also down for maintenance because it's been relocated to Awomaso. So pre-commissioning has begun at the plant.
But I'm interested in that because if you look at the date this happened, this is 31st January 2001.
Exactly.
That's a long time ago.
Yes. So
And it's still off the grid. 250 megawatts.
you don't have it. I mean, the ministry should be answering questions why this is the case. We have the Siemens unit number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Together, they give you 80 megawatt. That's also down because of defective generator parts. So some parts that needs to be replaced there. You have TICO unit number 1. It should be giving you 110 megawatt. Major inspection is what they attribute to that. So, I mean, there are some challenges. Authorities need to go and check on what actually is happening. You have Twin City plant, which should give you 200 megawatt. It's also generator inspection, so also maintenance there. And then BU unit, unit number 3 should be giving you 100 megawatt, but it's also down due to annual maintenance. Together, all of these 5 plants should be giving us 740 megawatts.
And let's throw in there units that are currently unavailable because of fault. There's one of them that is unavailable because of fault, and that we are talking about the TICO unit 3 that is down. And if you put all together, we are talking about 1,455 megawatts that is unavailable. But you see, Gridco narrows down to the gas challenge.
Exactly.
What did they say?
Well, Gridco says gas supply from domestic sources, that's ENI and Tallow, have been relatively stable over the past week. But they're saying that the total gas supply continues to be inadequate to run thermal plants to meet electricity demand. VRA has, however, increased their gas nomination from Nigeria to the firm, to the firm capacity of 80,000 MBBU. Load reductions of export to Burkina, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo, together with some internal load curtailment, are carried out to balance demand with available generation. So what they want to communicate here is that there is a challenge with us getting gas
to power the plants. We're talking about gas here, but then they isolate the liquid fuel stocks that some of the plants also require to run, right? What's the situation there too? That paints a pretty much dire picture as well.
Yeah. So they say that the LCO stock available, and this is quite something that when you hear, you begin to become afraid of what is to come if things don't change, because Gridco says LSO stock available at Takoradi Thermal is expected to last for just 13 days.
13 days.
13.
What about the one at Tema?
Yeah, they say that is expected to last for 2.6 days. So that is less than 3 days.
I see.
It tells you where we are now.
What about Sogli?
For Asogli, they say that
there's no
there's no
LCO at all.
LCO stock. There's nothing at all. And again, there's no LCO stock available at the Send Power plant. Nothing at all. They go on to say that LCO stock at Twin City plant is expected to last for just 2 days. Again, there is no DFO stock available at Pung Thermal Power Station, and there is no HFO stock available at AXA. So this really paints the picture of where the situation is coming from.
And I noticed that we're talking about thermal plants. If you go to the hydro plants too, Akosomo is fine, but they also raise red flags about Bui when it comes to what the minimum level is and the projection as to when they may get there.
So they say that the actual water levels in Bui against the actual of 2023. Now, if you look at it, the current level is 0.18 meter above the minimum level of 168. Check the difference. 0.18 meters above the minimum level of 168 meters. The dispatch at Bui has been reduced to 2 units for peaking only. maximum of 10 hours run. With the current drop, the water level is expected to reach the minimum by April 1, which was Monday. So by now, possibly. And you know, when it gets to the minimum, it means that you need to be shutting down the plant.
And that's the place you want to be.
No.
The conclusion is instructive because they have a recommendation to the government.
Now, they conclude by saying that generation will be inadequate to meet peak demand for the coming week, with up to 510 megawatt load relief required to keep the system stable.
So when they say load relief, that's what they need to shed. That's a load that we don't have, but there's demand for that.
it.
So we need to shed that to keep the system stable.
Yeah.
And again, remember that there's a period 27th March to 2nd April. And so during that period, if you experience any outages,
this is it.
Possibly this, because it's 510 shortfall that we have to find a way
lot.
To manage that.
That is why, if you remember, ECG was putting out statement that today Gridco says Gridco has reduced power to our bulk supply point, and so and so communities will be affected. It's because of this.
What's the advice to government?
Okay, so it says there's need to source for more gas from Nigeria above the VRA firm contract to run idle thermal plant to meet the increasing electricity demand. In addition, alternate fuel must always be made available for AXA and KTPP to serve a strategic stock in the absence of gas to ensure reliable electricity supply.
In English, just get more gas.
Exactly.
Just get
Look
more gas.
More money.
Look for more money, get more gas, because we have idle plants that if you have the gas, you should be powering right now to ensure that you don't sleep in darkness tonight. And that's a very important point.
So now, this solves the question that government is. What is that everybody has been asking?
What is the problem?
What's the problem? It's fuel.
Well, that's a Gridco's statement that we've exclusively secured. But there's another statement, another document we've exclusively secured. That tells you the picture when it comes to the load management regime. Gridco is concerned. That ECG is not listening to instruction in terms of implementing the load management instructions, and is threatening the system.
So that's where I want us to start from. They say that we note with grave concern the repeated instances where ECG operations personnel failed to follow load management instructions issued by the SCC. This non-compliance poses a significant threat to the stability of the power grid, potentially leading to 1, avoidable power outages for customers, 2, system collapse. That's where you don't want to get to. So they are warning that if that is not followed, this is what will happen. Now it says the SEC routinely communicate load management directives to ECG operations. However, these instructions are often either not effected or inadequately implemented. That results in a decline in system frequency, triggering 1, the operation of the automatic frequency load shedding relays, and 2, SEC having to disconnect feeders, 7 bulk customers to correct the decaying frequency. So if you won't do it, we'll do it ourselves.
In other words, we simply say we don't have enough to give ECG. So manage the load. Instead of ECG managing the load and putting your lights off, sometimes you're not doing so. And Gridco is saying that is putting strain on the entire system. And the risk is that the entire system may collapse.
And if
that
it
doesn't
does,
happen.
I mean, we should all estimate how things will be.
And you know what, on PM Express yesterday, the chairman of the Energy Committee was on PM Express, and he was very, very clear when I spoke to him that as we speak currently, he's aware that the government is putting in a lot of effort to try and find the money and get the gas to avoid a full-blown crisis. Listen to Samuel Atacha.
Well, there is a deficit of supply of power, which is causing some of the problems we are facing. But what I'm hearing, which is good news, is that we have 4 challenges. As we rightly said, you need to power some of these, plants with fuel, whatever the fuel is. You know, I'm being educated that a whole buffer is being put in place so that they supply the requisite fuel, and then we'll be able to have more generation, and then supply would then outstrip demand, and we get back to normalcy.
So we are getting additional fuel?
Oh yeah, we're getting additional fuel, because if we don't, then we are in crisis. And as we are already saying, my little challenge and concern is that this should be something that we should have anticipated, because it's an essential raw material for energy generation. So if we want to really do it and ensure that we have constant flow of power, then we should have buffers, because we cannot afford to mess up the economy in terms of electricity supply.
So that there is the chairman of the Energy Committee in Parliament talking about what he's expecting will happen now to deal with this gas supply challenge. And we referenced that document in which the Gridco is complaining. Is complaining in a formal letter that they wrote. They wrote to the Energy Ministry.
Exactly. So it's addressed to the Honorable Minister of Energy in Accra, and that's Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Now, we're talking about when the SEC says they gave instruction to ECG and they didn't do it. They had to go and do it by themselves. Now, they state here that March 21, 2024, at 7:59, now the SEC had to take off TAFO feeders out of service due to ECG's failure to properly implement. So it means that if you're in TAFO and your power went out, it could be that the SEC thought that the system was in danger. They took it out. They say that by March 20th, 2024, similar non-compliance by ECG operations during peak hours forced the SEC to disconnect feeders in Tema, Winneba, Kaswa, and Kumasi.
So because ECG was supposed to do it,
but
and
they
were
failed
not
to do
doing
it.
so.
So let's state again that this letter was written to the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
And it was written on the 28th, dated 28th March 2024. The earlier document that we were citing is a document that I know my sources tell me they had prepared because the ministry had requested for it. The authorities had requested. The president himself was briefed because they wanted to understand what was going to happen over the Easter period. People were home, and the system wanted to be sure that you get light to enjoy your Easter period, and that's why this was put together. I want to bring in the ranking member on the Energy Committee. He's going to be one of the people grilling the minister when he appears before them on Saturday. Also joining me is Nanam Wesi, who is Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. John Junapo, this is a document that I believe you've seen already. Fascinating details in there, but I safe to say none of that surprises you?
Not at all, not at all. I mean, what beats my imagination is how government and its communicators could think that they can take all of us on that ride. I mean, it really, really beats my imagination. Like 30 million Ghanaians, you think that you can just take us on this ride with this flimsy excuse of so-called transformer overloads. When transformers are overloaded, it means that there isn't enough supply. There's too much supply of power. So why are we now curtailing supply of power to our neighboring countries? More importantly, now the official document from Gridco on their letterhead, authenticated document, establishes that we've been shedding load because of fuel challenges. All this while, when we said there's fuel problem, a lot of people said we didn't know what we're talking about. We're naysayers. Why do we wish bad for this country? Why are we calling for a load shedding table? They knew, because there's a weekly report from Gridco to the minister. And all the weekly reports I see confirms that there's a deficit in generation, primarily because of fuel challenges. What we need is to find a way as a country collectively to procure adequate fuel for the plant. We don't have distillate fuel. We don't have HFO. Gas supply is erratic. Nigeria is unreliable. So what we have to do is to deal with the fuel issue. If we solve the fuel challenge, we won't have load shedding. That's the bottom line. Once we solve the fuel issue, we are done. And I think that all of us collectively, irrespective of our political persuasion, we should help to find solutions towards getting fuel. But when the man in the seat continuously denies that the system is stable, and yet the body, which is Gridco, mandated to manage the National Interconnectivity Transmission System, says that it is not stable, and even goes on to caution that the whole system can collapse. Look, Evans, it's a serious matter. This is a very, very serious matter. And we kept telling Ghanaians that, look, if we don't do anything, the system will collapse. Now, Gridco is confirming that. I hope and I pray that we all put the politics aside and do the needful. We know that we don't have fuel. We know today there will be load shedding. Let's inform the people that, look, we have this challenge. This is the timetable. We are taking pragmatic steps to procure fuel. The risk is that when we curtail supply to Burkina, Cote d'Ivoire, and the rest, first of all, there will still be a deficit. But more importantly, we're breaching our contractual obligations with them. And eventually, we will lose that market. And that market is a very crucial market in terms of foreign exchange for this country. So the bottom line is that let's find solution to procure some fuel and supply power to the people of Ghana for domestic and commercial use.
And talking about that, the GridCo document we're referring to had a specific advice. And that advice was there's a need to source for more gas from Nigeria above the current VRA firm contract, the contractual arrangement that we have, get more gas, increase that. Nana Moisi with executive with the Institute for Energy Security. Yeah, that may be the advice, but we need to first have the money. Isn't that what the challenge is? Isn't it really what is at the heart of this? That we know we need to get more gas, but we simply don't have the money. Hello, Nana.
Hello, Ivan.
Yes.
Sorry, I lost you there.
No, I mean I'm just asking the question. If you look at the recommendation by the GridCo to the government, it says simply we should source more gas from Nigeria. But it's a money problem, is it not?
That is the case, Evans. And I'm sure Nigeria will be able to support us if we put money forward. Already we owe and gas. That is why you see, interruption in the supply of gas from Nigeria. And so if you are going to expect more gas from Nigeria, then we must be ready to pay for same. If it's not the case, then I'm afraid Nigeria will not save us this time.
One of the solutions, and we heard that from the chairman of the Energy Committee who was with me yesterday on PM Express, and he made this announcement.
I'm even been educated that there is a command that our export of electricity to other countries will be curtailed. Okay. Because the president has an acute sense of the national need that making profit abroad.
Nana Moisi, will this solve the problem at all? Curtailing supply to neighboring countries?
Absolutely not, Evans. Cutting supply of power to Benin, to Togo, to La Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. We're talking about 250 megawatts here. Meanwhile, the deficit we have in the system is 600 megawatts. And so if you choose not to even serve them with power, we'll still have a shortfall of something close to 400 megawatts. So it won't solve the problem. We must look beyond that solution or that proposed solution. It won't save us. We'll still be seeing themselves.
So what's the solution? We know we need to get more gas. I think that is very clear. But government somehow is failing to get the gas. So where do we go from here?
I'm sure government will be praying this time around to have excess power. We've been crying wolf, wolf, wolf. The day the wolf arrived, no one showed up. We didn't have anything like excess capacity, Evans. It was a reserve margin for us. Today we've sat down, we've watched almost all that margin of power, 2,000 megawatts, is down. Not just for reason of gas shortage, but then power plants are down because they have collapsed. They were not able to do their plant maintenance because cash flow was a constraint for them. And so we must go look for money, give them money to solve the plants and bring the plants back. That is our surest way. But for fuel supply, I'm sure government will have to spend extra money to get us that liquid fuel. And I'm scandalized that the whole power sector, we are so much dependent on the natural gas. Meanwhile, we must have a buffer, of which is the liquid type of fuel, the HFO, the diesel, the light crude oil. We chose not to keep stock. From the beginning of the year, we've been seeing power that's produced on daily basis being around 3,200 megawatts. Up to today, 3 months later, we are now discussing bringing in liquid fuel. I'm thinking that we are not serious as Ghanaians, Evans.
I mean, Mr. Junapo, this Saturday, I understand from what the chairman of the committee tells me that you're going to have an opportunity to speak to the minister and all the other agencies in that power value chain. But he said something very instructive, that you guys have taken the decision to do exactly this.
What is very, very important is that we want to interrogate this matter critically. And it is the members of the committee who are actually running after the minister that we need all the individuals in the value chain to converge, because he had an international assignment, and because of that, he couldn't make himself available. He's in the realm now, and he's covenanted that we are going to meet this Saturday, all of us. And then we look at it critically. We're looking at data. Which is apolitical. So you cannot come and do propaganda with facts. It won't work. If we don't have the power, you can't, to conjure some propaganda and noise to bring the power. So you need to own up as to why we are having this challenge. Then those who are the experts will look at it and say, look, these are the obvious challenges.
So that is the approach he says he and yourselves will be taking on Saturday. Is that an approach? Is that an approach that you agree with?
Certainly. And would be very, very transparent. But let me just advise all those agencies who will be appearing before us that we have the powers of a high court. And if you come peddling falsehood, deliberate falsehood, that is perjury. Secondly, I'm very worried for the Bui power plant. I've looked at the trajectory in terms of the programmed flow and the actual. We are drafting the water like no one else's business. And within these short periods, because the Bui plant is a peaking plant, if you run it as if it's a base load plant, you would finish the water in no time. And now we are hitting bottom in terms of the elevation of the water, which means that they may have to shut down. So I'm very worried for the Bui plant. The way they are running it will create a big problem if nothing is done. But you see, it's not easy to just go to Nigeria and ask for gas. You must show that you are ready to pay for that gas. And we knew, that is my issue. It's not as if it's an emergency. We knew since January that we're heading into this crisis. Yesterday, my report is that it went to 700 megawatts, the deficit. That's why they've decided I won't export power again. Why don't you export that power, ring-fence that forex, and use that to buy fuel? I mean, does that not make sense? Because your problem is fuel. You have power to export. There's regular, dependable payment from all these neighbors. It's hard currency. Why don't you do a back-to-back arrangement with the fuel supplier, ring-fence the money, and then use that to buy the fuel? Because you are losing that market. You are losing them. If they realize that you are not reliable, they will look elsewhere. Well, it's not easy. I just get very, very sad when I see some of these things. Can you imagine if the Kosomo Dam had gone down like 2015 and we lost about 600 megawatts? That means we could shed between 1,200 to 1,300 megawatts. That is serious. But all these are lessons. My worry finally, Evans, is that if this thing continue, by the end of the year, where will the power sector be?
And while you asked that question, though, on Saturday, will this be televised? I asked that question for Chairman. He says a decision has not been taken yet. He's going to look into it. Where do you stand on that question?
I'm for it. Because it's a matter of national interest. And I would make a proposal to Chairman that the media should be invited. I'll make a proposal to Chairman that the media should be invited. This is a serious matter. This is the burning issue now. Industry complaining, households are complaining, commercial entities are complaining. There's a clear uncertainty. Nobody wants to speak to the issue. The president is quiet. The vice president, who chairs the cash waterfall mechanism and head of economic management team, is quiet. The minister is being dismissive. And I mean, you just don't see leadership. And so MPs, we are struggling and doing everything we can to bring these agencies. And we don't have that much sway on them as compared to the executive. But the president can fire these heads of these agencies within the twinkle of an eye. MPs is going to take a daunting task. And even when you want to censure ministers, you saw what happened on the floor. They will do our best. They would, first of all, even honor the invitation and hope that they'll be honest.
Well, the chairman
speak to the document.
The chairman is confident that the minister will come. He's received assurances. Thank you very much. That's the ranking on the Energy Committee in Parliament, John Jinapo. Earlier, you heard Nana Moisi, who is Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. What's the electricity situation where you are right now? 05511119997. News Night in a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, Telecel is here! Telecel, connecting energies.
Great news is here. Batmat is here again. XXL clearance sale. Guaranteed savings. From now till the end of April, the big sale continues. Get discounts of up to 70% off sanitary wares, light tiles, waterproofing, and all other product families. It's the year to get things done. Visit our showroom at the North Industrial Area next to the Winners Chapel, Ghana. Don't miss out. Batmat, welcome home.
On Newsnight tonight, Chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament tears into his ranking member, accusing him of throwing tantrums over hike in passport application fees, despite what he describes as justifiable reasons given for the increase.
To step out to say that they vehemently oppose the review of the fee is neither here nor there. The person who is throwing those tantrums is not a member of that committee.
But with the NDC minority complaining about the cost, is the Foreign Affairs Ministry willing to review the fees?
This little threat, whatever, it is not going to happen. Take it from me.
You are not going to review it.
It will not happen. These figures, with the support of majority of Ghanaians, it has come to stay.
Also tonight, Scholarship Secretariat fights back against claims it awarded scholarships to politically connected and affluent members of the Ghanaian society. As it argues, applications are not assessed based on political cards or potential beneficiaries.
You can only throw out political mischief because we don't ask for your party card in our assessment of scholarship.
Plus, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice describes as criminal the underage girl betrothing to the Babu deity in Nungwa.
Betrothal is any kind of form. We are not looking at whether to the human being or to the deity. The law says betrothal in any kind form.
And some oil marketing companies increase prices at pump despite the suspension of the stabilization levy at the pumps.
And in sports, former football icon Osama Jan has backed his former teammate John Pinto to succeed in his role as assistant coach of the Black Stars, insisting he's well prepared for the job.
You want to stay with us for that and more, or here on Newsnight Plus?
We are proposing that the PNDC law 284 section 26 should be repealed or amended, and then maybe a new law altogether governing parliamentary elections is set out.
We tell you why political parties are raising concerns over proposals by the Judicial Service for the amendment of portions of the constitutional instrument governing parliamentary election petitions.
We have used the 21 days for the past 30 years. If the thing is not broken, why would you want to fix it?
7 days is a bit too short if you ask. People think that it is just easy to put stuff together.
Tonight, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, Andy Apiakubi, is clashing with his ranking member over the recently announced hike in passport application fees. Andy Apiakubi described the concerns expressed by Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa regarding the hike in fees as tantrums. The minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs told Joy News while he was not opposed to the increase in fees in principle, he was not in support of the magnitude of the increase.
When the House resumes, we intend to revisit this matter because my recommendation, I believe, that is sound. Our committee was clear that this should not be done in one single swoop, and that it should be a graduated approach. So it's a matter we will revisit. We will summon the ministers and officials from the ministry and see what can be done, because this is really terrible, and it's going to add on to the already excruciating hardship and anguish that Ghanaians are going through.
Reacting to the comments at a news conference earlier today, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Andy Apiakubi, argued that Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa's stance was without basis.
For anybody to step out to say that they vehemently opposed the review of the fee, it's neither here nor there. The person who is throwing those tantrums is not a member of that committee. And indeed, it was not the work of the Foreign Affairs Committee, which I chair, which he is a ranking. So this is the work of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, and indeed chaired by the NDC Member of Parliament. So it never occurred in the committee meeting that there was protestation as to the recommendation for review. So it was a unanimous decision taken by the committee. It's amazing how Ghanaians want us to be political all the time, and that people are saying it is election year and therefore we don't have to. It is election year. Let us not forget that it is your money. It is your own money that could otherwise give you something else for the benefit of the whole, rather than for the benefit of only a segment of society. So, although it is election year, it is important for us to be prudent in the use of public resources. Again, the same people who complain of the increase are the same people who are buying tickets for use every now and again as they travel. And they are paying $2,000 plus for one trip. You cannot travel without the passport, even though you may have the money to pay for the $2,000 plus. So the base document that gives you the opportunity to travel is only 500 Ghana cedis.
And that day is Andy Apiakubi. I want to bring in Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa into the conversation. He joins us on the line right now. If you're wondering, how much is it that you have to pay now if you are applying for a passport? Here you go. The fees have been raised now from 100 to 500 cedis for the 32-page booklet, 644 cedis for the 48-page booklet under the standard service. Now, for those who want expedited service, you have to pay 700 cedis for the 32-page booklet and 800 cedis for the 48-page booklet. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, the chairman on the committee, says this was unanimous. It was unanimous because your side on that committee backed it. So what's the issue really?
Well, good evening, Evans. Good evening to all you audience. Let me state for the record that it appears the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee is referring to what may have happened in another committee. The committee which he chairs, the Foreign Affairs Committee, which I serve as a ranking member, which is under our standing orders, the committee that has oversight over the Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. When the minister brought this matter up on the 12th of December 2023, on the sidelines of the consideration of the 2024 budget estimate, fortunately, I have obtained the verbatim report of the proceedings of that day, and I'll read extracts very quickly. I know you don't have time. So this is me speaking after the minister's presentation, says Mr. Ablakwa, reading from page 23 of the verbatim report. I'll send you a copy. Mr. Chairman, I would like to appeal that we go step by step. At this point, we do not have a specific proposal before us. If we go ahead of ourselves and commit the committee, what if they bring $200 or $300? We can all appreciate the compelling case that the deputy minister has made. However, let us have their proposal. Are we going to have one quantum leap, or will it be graduated? Let us have something before us properly. Then we can assess, unquote. Then the chairman, the Honorable Andiapi Akubi, comes after I have spoken, and he says, all right, this was something that we threw in, but let us prepare our minds to expect this. When it comes, all of us should appreciate the problem we have and solve it, unquote. This is the Honorable Andiapi Akubi speaking. So this is what transpired at the Foreign Affairs Committee. So what is the Honorable Andiapi Akubi talking about? He should produce a verbatim report that corroborates what he said. Everybody who attended the 12 December 2023 Foreign Affairs Committee meeting, everybody, the officials from the ministry, all MPs in attendance, I did not mince words that we do not support this, we cannot proceed, it is not even properly before us. The minister was talking about the subsidies. I said we are hearing this for the first time. What is the figure? Where are those subsidies coming from? What is even the percentage of increase? Is it going to be graduated? Is it going to be one fell swoop? When will that be? Will it be when we have recovered from the current economic crisis? When domestic debt exchange is over and all of that? It's in the verbatim report. So, what are these, it's unbelievable.
Are you opposed to are you opposed to any form of increase?
At this time, when you are in the midst of a cost of living crisis, this is not what you do. Fortunately, if you look at the passport fee regime, we have the services for the wealthy Ghanaians, those who go for the VIP, the premium service. And that has always subsidized the other category, those who go for the ordinary booklet, the 32-page booklet. So there's always been a mechanism for cross-subsidy, if you look at the regime historically. So that can continue. And we are saying that let us have the financials. If you call the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee now to ask him this claim of subsidy, how much is it? He cannot tell you. There are no figures. There are no facts.
But while you say that,
analysis.
But while you say that, one of the significant challenges the passport office is currently facing is what they tell us is a 70,000 unprinted passports that they currently have, that huge backlog, because they don't have enough printers. They need money to do exactly that, get more printers. They can't do that if they don't get the increase that they currently have.
These are all post facto rationalization. We know, members of the Foreign Affairs Committee know, that we have received a printing machine donated by the World Bank. We all know that. The backlog has nothing to do with low fees. When we summoned them to appear before us, what the Director of Passports told us is that it is because of the global challenge with the Russia-Ukraine war, as you know, they are one to say, and so they are having logistical issues. It has nothing to do with fees. And you see, as we speak, we are on the verge of even introducing a new passport as a country, the chip embedded passport. Why don't we wait to get there? Because we are almost 10 years behind the rest of the world. Then, hopefully, by that time, as we begin to see economic recovery, we can even do a graduated implementation if we are convinced that the financials, which they are yet to present to us. Then there's another elephant in the room, the procurement process for the vendors of these passports. Do you know that they are not done competitively? So anytime you continue with this, your pension for single sourcing, for restrictive tendering, for non-competitive tendering, you don't give us real value for money.
Thankfully, the chairman just joined us. Andy Apiakubi is with me on the line. Thank you, Mr. Apiakubi, for joining me. And we just heard the Samoku Blakwa, who read from the document, the actual transcript of what transpired, because Parliament is a house of records, and it points to his opposition to this increase all along. What do you say to that?
It points to his opposition. It's not about him opposing or anything. This was a committee work. And I'm saying that he is not a member of that committee that worked on the fees and charges. He's not a member.
Which committee are you referring to?
Subsidiary legislation. He's not a member of that committee.
And not the Foreign Affairs Committee?
Not the Foreign Affairs Committee. This was not done by Foreign Affairs Committee. It was done by a committee on subsidiary legislation.
And on that committee, it was unanimous.
Is it 2481? LI 2481. And he was not privy to the discussions in that committee.
But the Foreign Affairs Committee, in the document he read, there shows clearly they had a say in this. The minister came there to brief them.
In the document from Foreign Affairs Committee, I referred you to the report of the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation.
And there you say, for clarity, that the NDC members on that committee all supported the increase.
Yes, I'm saying that the chairman of the committee himself is a minority member of parliament. The chairman and the vice chairman, both of them are members of the minority party. Okay. And to be precise, the chairman is Dr. Ayini.
1 and 1.
And I'm saying that on all occasions, when we have committee meetings, the minority members dominate because most of our membership are members of the executive, and they hardly come to meetings. And these are facts.
Those are the facts. The chairman of the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation, which is he's an NDC member of Parliament.
Is not a member of
no, I'm talking about the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, which is chaired by the member from the minority side. And I'm putting that question to Mr. Kujita Blakwa, that the NDC members on that committee, which is chaired by the minority side, approve this.
Well, Evans, it's great that the records have been corrected. It's good that he has clarified that he was not referring to the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now you do know that that impression was erroneous. On the matter of what happened at the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, admittedly, I am not a member of that committee, and so I cannot speak to what transpired there. I would really love it, and I think for the benefit of your listeners and all of us, if you can get a member from that committee, particularly from our side, to speak, because at this point we don't know if what we are being told is exactly what transpired at
but considering that it's chaired by the minority, and that's a committee that worked on the legislation itself, it goes without saying, that this was something that the chairman would have endorsed.
You cannot be that explicit. We don't know if there was a vote, if our side was outvoted. We don't know. There's so many possibilities that could have occurred. You don't know what kind of presentation was made there. At least I have told you that when it was raised on the 12th of December 2023 at the Foreign Affairs Committee, we opposed it, and the records are clear. I'm glad the chairman is on the line. He cannot challenge that fact.
What do you plan to do about this, though?
What has happened at subsidiary legislation, I think we have to talk to those.
It's too late, is it not? I mean, this has already been passed. Its implementation has been announced.
No, it is not too late. There are two options before us. Considering the backlash, the public uproar, and we all have consequences. I mean, this notion that passports are for the wealthy is not true. There are so many students who get scholarships, and all they have to do is show up at an embassy with a passport. You can't describe them as wealthy. There are people who get into a medical condition, they have to fly abroad. They are not wealthy.
So what will you do now?
So, two options. The minister responsible for foreign affairs can exercise her discretion. She has a ceiling, that's all right, with a new ally, but she can reconsider and put out new rates, because I have always maintained that even if the financials show that there should be an increment, it should be graduate. This draconian approach is not helpful in these, harsh times. The second option is for us to come by motion when the House resumes. And it's something I've discussed with my leaders, the Honorable Atu Fortune, the Chief Whip, the Honorable Kwame Abuja, and they are all amenable that we should come by motion and try to fight for a reduction in these really astronomical rates.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's Amakudeta Blakwa there talking to us about the increase in passport application fees. And we've been hearing from the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister today on this particular subject, and is categorical that there's no way they're going to review the fees that have been approved by Parliament.
Computers we can't buy, the capturing machines we can't buy, the printers we can't buy. We can't afford. To the extent that, Elton, as we speak right now, if you go and make an application for passport and you want a booking for your biometrics, you get it in December.
Because we're here to clear the backlog.
Because we don't have the machine. We don't have the capturing machines to be able to capture. So you go in today, you get December. And I can tell you, if you go in next week, it might be next year. It might be next. Because right now, passport printing book is taking about 8-10 months to about a year.
Yes, exactly. And
then when things start getting out of control, as it is going, deteriorating, and we don't arrest it, it is going to take about 2 years for somebody to get their passport. Because at the moment of digitalization, passport applications in a day is about 5,000. Minimum 5,000.
5,000 you're printing.
5,000. No.
5,000 applications.
Applications coming in
across the country.
Across. We are able to print maximum, after stretching ourselves, 3,000.
Out of the 5,000.
So every day,
there's a backlog of 2,000.
2,000. A week, 10,000. So 1 month, 40,000. As we speak, we have 70,000 sitting there.
70,000
70,000 sitting there backlog. Because we don't have the printer.
And even as you are charging the new fees, if you want to look at the timeliness of it, it's going to take us months, if not years, to clear the entire backlog.
We have a plan, like I said.
What's the plan?
With the revenue flow, okay, what we are looking at doing in the next couple of days, we intend starting, is we were going to have 2 teams for both the capturing and the printing. So the first team will do the normal working hours. Okay, do the capturing. Then the second team will come in and then start to work to reduce the backlog that is sitting there. Okay, and we are also starting a phone call process. Okay, call center that will be calling people who, even though have been given some distant dates, when we call you and ask you, is it possible for you to come on such and such a date for your capturing? And you are able to, then we ask you to come, and then we will do your capture. Through that, we will be bringing down the backlog of the capturing. Now, the same principle we are going to apply with the passport, or the printing. The first squad will come and do the normal printing during the normal working hours. And then the second squad will come in and then do the second batch, be dealing with the backlog.
And that there is the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister having a chat with my colleague Elton Brobe. And I want to hear from you on this. 055-1111-997. You'll be paying the passport fees, the passport application fees, if you go to the passport office to apply for a new passport or a renewal of the existing passport that you have. So let's hear from you. 055-1111-997. And this is News Night on Joy 99.7 FM. And tonight, many of you who live on the Ofankor Pokwasing Sawan road will be heading home. And I'm pretty sure you've noticed the dust that is currently engulfing that entire area as you drive along the road. Is also pretty terrible as the construction works continue. And residents along that particular stretch, part of the Accra-Kumasi route, are grappling with this dense dust cloud generated by ongoing road constructions. The air pollution is causing a range of health problems that have alarmed health experts. It is a problem shared by communities across Ghana whenever roadworks take place. Now, as Clean Air reporter Michael Ashale reports, community members are urging authorities to frequently dampen the dusty road and find a solution to their predicament.
The Ofankor Pokwase in Sawam Highway has become a dust-choked battleground, leaving residents and workers here grappling with air pollution. The stretch spans more than 30 kilometers and ferries thousands of commuters daily. After enduring years of a road plagued with potholes, this road rehabilitation has become a new inconvenience for the community.
So once they started this road, the dust is worrying us too much.
Dr. Kwabena Ejenim Boatin works as a resident ear, nose and throat surgeon at the Kolibu Teaching Hospital. He says dust can be so small and so overwhelming that it gets into the lungs and bloodstream.
And then it goes on into the skin in the nose over here, this reddish part that you see. It's a place that has a very big surface area to help in conditioning the air, making it warm enough for the body, and it also serves to trap some of the particles that may have escaped from here over there. Now, in its attempt to do that, that is when, by contact with some of the allergens, then this nasal cavity, as in your nose, would react and be producing the itchiness that we talked about earlier, the nasal congestion, etc.
It's not just adults who are affected. Hegai Bamari is an expected mother.
That's why I always put on the mask. Because if I don't put on the mask, when I reach home now, my throat will be paining me. The dust is too much. Sometimes you work
Hegai sells nose mask along the dusty road. She's not the only one made sick by the dust here. Experts say pollutants may pass to Hegai's unborn child, risking birth defects and lifelong problems. Hegai knows this, but she says she has no choice.
Always I go on for checkups because of my pregnancy. Always I go, they will be checking me, they say I'm okay. Sometimes I will be having a cold, they will give me medicine. But I can't stay in the house. I have to come back still and work.
The residents are urging authorities to consistently dampen the road throughout the construction process. Engineer Bimpom says that they are currently increasing the fleet of water tankers to improve the dust suppression measures.
We have resorted to increasing the frequency as opposed to using chemicals that would ensure that the dust, is suppressed for a considerable time, and then we don't have to have that frequency that we envisage. So now we are increase it and increase the number of water bowsers. Now we have about 14, on the road. It used to be about 9 initially, but as a result of the challenges that we're having, we've increased it. We are continuously monitoring the air quality and when I say air quality, we are not only talking about dust, but then there are other greenhouse gases which are being monitored, emissions from our vehicles. And here I'm not talking only of our vehicles, but also generally, because when there's traffic, there's an increase in the greenhouse gases. So yes, we are looking at all of this.
This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund. The funder had no say in the content of the story. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
And my name is Evans Mensah. Still ahead here on Newsnight. Scholarship Secretariat fighting back against claims it awarded scholarships to politically connected and affluent members of the Ghanaian society, as it argues applications are not assessed based on political cards or potential beneficiaries.
You can only throw out political mischief because we don't ask for your party card in our assessment of scholarship.
Details after business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up, some oil marketing companies increase prices at pumps, with some selling a litre of petrol at 13 Ghana cedis, 99 pesos, and diesel going for 14 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos, despite the suspension of the stabilization levy failing to hold the values. And I'm a review to cover forward-looking data about the economy for 2024 as Mission reviewed developments for last year. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Interstanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Water is needed all day, all night. So remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough. Water is needed all day, all night. So remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough.
Hello, Auntie Araba. Hey, Bugger, how are you doing today? I want to buy Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, but I don't have enough money. So what are you going to do? Can you give me the big size? You know, as for me, I'll pay the balance later. Today, no credit. I haven't sold much this morning. If you don't have enough money for the big size, why don't you try the 120-gram pack? There's a 120-gram pack? Introducing the new Pepsodent Cavity Fighter in 120-gram pack size. More affordable and convenient. Get yours today from any supermarket near you. Every smile matters. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of 2. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, some of the oil marketing companies have adjusted prices at the pumps from this morning. This is in line with the 2-week review of prices. Now, checks in the market also show that some of the companies have started implementing the new price guidelines for the industry. There is more in this report.
Market leader Goil, which was selling a litre of petrol on March 1 this year, at 13 cedis 49 pesos. This morning it's selling a litre of petrol for 13 cedis 99 pesos. On the other hand, diesel is now selling at 14 cedis 60 pesos, up from the 14 cedis 49 pesos a litre on March 1, 2024. Another player, Shell, is selling a litre of petrol at 13 cedis 60 pesos, while diesel is going for 14 cedis 60 pesos. Total Energies, which has gone up by a similar margin, actually adjusted price at the pumps on Monday, April 1, 2024. Some of the players are linking the increase to challenges with the Ghana cedi and rising price of crude oil on the international market. Joy Business even understands that more oil marketing firms will be increasing prices from tomorrow morning. It appears the decision by government to suspend charging the stabilization levy on fuel did not do much to halt this increase. But some industry players insist we could have witnessed a higher increase in price at the pumps if government had not suspended the levy. Well, it appears some of the oil marketing companies have also started implementing the new guidelines for pricing of the petroleum product. For instance, under the new regulations, oil marketing companies are now allowed to differentiate when it comes to pricing depending on their location. Well, it looks like Star Oil is taking the lead on this. This morning, Star announced that petrol is going for 12 cedis 97 pesos per litre, while diesel is selling at 13 cedis 97 pesos. It however announced that some selected service stations across the country will sell diesel and petrol lower than what it has announced.
And that is a business desk report. Now, the IMF engagement on how Ghana has fared under the program will also cover economic data for this year. The fund will be looking at how these developments could impact on the program going forward. Now, this is despite the fact that the primary focus of this mission will be focusing on the monetary and economic data ending December 2023. The team wants to ensure that it works with government to deal with any threat to the program going forward. Hence, this forward data review. The visiting IMF team, which began the engagement on April 2, 2024, will be bringing it to an end on April 12. So, what will the IMF board be looking out for when its board meets in June this year to review Ghana's staff report? Managing Director Christina Gogiva has been giving us some details.
2024 is a different year. The world is more uncertain. We are in a more shock-prone economy. Fundamentals matter even more than they did in 2016. I'm leaving Accra with strong confidence that the program will be implemented. How do we help the government to stay the course? We have regular engagements at which we assess progress under the program, and of course to continue to disburse under the program we have to demonstrate to our board of directors that the indicators in the program are respected, and that is our way to give a helping hand to stay the course.
Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Gogiva. The Association of Ghana Industries is warning the revenue mobilization for this year could be affected. That is, if government doesn't move fast to deal with the current power supply challenges. Chief Executive of the Association, Chuma Kabwa, says government must move beyond the assurances and act now to deal with the situation because it could destabilize the economy.
They are unable to produce, they can't generate the revenue, they are unable to generate the revenue, they can't pay the taxes, government revenue is going to be affected, it has multiplier effect. So if we consider it as critical to the whole being of Ghanaian, then why don't we prioritize it? And at this crucial period, we need to prioritize. And therefore, if we think it's such a critical issue, then let's put the money there and buy whatever we need to buy to get the electricity provided in a consistent and regular manner. Yeah. In any case, the industries and the users are paying for the service. If I'm paying for something, then I'm entitled to receiving it. And then you also have, once I pay, you make money. And helps your income flow. The challenge we've also seen is that the level of losses or inefficiencies is also part of the challenge. Because if you can't account for 25 to 30% of your distribution system.
Chuma Kabwa is Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries. Now, Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwachi, has attributed the central bank's policy rate hike and currency depreciation to lack of coordination between the fiscal and the monetary policy. According to Dr. John Kwachi, the central bank needs to ensure an efficient adjustment of these tools. He spoke to Joy Business doing amid the press in Accra.
Monetary policy is carrying an unnecessarily heavy burden in respect of macroeconomic adjustment because of pervasive fiscal dominance in the economy. It is important for fiscal policy to bear part of the macroeconomic adjustment. Indeed, there is evidence of inadequate coordination between fiscal and monetary policies, which is doing more harm than good to the economy, including in the form of high interest rates, high inflation, persistent currency depreciation, and stunted growth.
Dr. John Kwachi is the Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. And if you're a shareholder in GCB Bank, it was up by 6 pesos today to close at 3 Ghana cedis, 76 pesos. Unilever, on the other hand, was up by 15 pesos to close at 12 Ghana cedis. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very, very much, Georgia. You know who is on PM Express tonight?
The former GFA president.
Yes. Kwesi is my guest.
Yeah.
Yes. We're going to have a conversation about football. We'll talk about politics and everything else. You don't want to miss that.
Definitely.
That's at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. It's also going to be live across our many social media platforms and on myjoyonline.com. It's now time for fact-checking. Today, we are focusing on some of the claims made by Minister for Agriculture, Brian Achampon, at a rally in Kwu in the Eastern region. Raymond Akwa has more on the claims and the verdicts in this report.
Let's start with the minister's claim on last year's food and headline inflation.
Na Ghana ye wa huchire mu na ye hu hia na aduane ebo ayede food inflation and number 61%, inflation and 55%.
Mr. Champon claimed that when he addressed party supporters at Impresso on Saturday, April 8, 2023, food inflation was 61% and headline inflation was 55%. This is inaccurate. Food inflation for the preceding month, that is March 2023, according to the Statistical Service, was 50.8% and not 61%. And headline inflation was 45% and not 55%. So both claims are false. Assuming his reference was April, he will still be wrong because year-on-year inflation in April 2023 was 41% and not 55%. And food inflation for that period was 48.7% and not 61%. The minister also made claims about the current inflationary rates.
And inflation and now was 61%, you know, and now it was 23%. And now inflation, food inflation, and now was 61%, you know, and now I had 27%.
Minister Brian Champon's claim that inflation is now 23% and food inflation is also 27% are both backed by data from the Statistical Service and therefore true.
And this will be across our many social media platforms. You can check it out yourselves as we continue our fact-checking project throughout this year. The Scholarship Secretariat is fighting off claims it awarded scholarships to politically connected persons, insisting that the beneficiaries were Ghanaians and had gained admission to accredited universities. The Scholarship Secretariat's response to the RTI request showed that it had spent 237.5 million Ghana cedis and 200 million cedis in 2019 and 2020 respectively, covering both foreign and local scholarships. The Secretariat had come under public scrutiny in the past for often overlooking deserving applicants in favor of those with political and high society connections. Let's go on the lines now and speak to the lead investigator with the Fourth Estate. They looked into this. At Bokwe joins us right now with details. Hello, Seth. Thanks for the time. You're on Newsnight.
Hi, Evans. Thank you.
So you got a response based on your RTI request. Tell us the names that you found in there through the individuals who benefited from the Scholarship Secretariat within the period under review.
Okay. So we found Dr. Dennis Adu. Dr. Adu is the owner or the founder and CEO of Clown Hospital at the airport residential area. We found Should I mention the amount they got as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's the details as you found. This is an RTI request. You got it.
Yes. So we found Dr. Dennis Addo. We found Gifty Evans Mensah, who is Gifty Oyabwaji, who is the National Service Secretariat Deputy Director. We found Fauzi Ramadan. Fauzi is actually related to the second lady. His case is very interesting because he told us the Secretariat paid £17,355 as his fee, but he didn't turn up for his education because he had an accident, he said.
So, in other words, you spoke to these individuals named in the document you got based on an RTI request?
We could not reach all of them.
But in this particular case of Fauzi, you spoke to him?
Yes, we spoke.
Okay, so the monies were paid, but he didn't receive it?
He did not go to the school.
He did not go to the school?
Yeah.
And did you check what happened then with the Secretariat? Okay, so the person didn't go to the school. Why did you still pay the person the money?
So he said that he had the admission, the Secretariat processed everything and paid the fee. But because he had an accident, it was during COVID time, he had an accident. He went to he attended a few online class, and then that was it. He didn't follow up.
And I'm curious generally, what has been the reaction when you attempted to get details from or reactions to what you found from the Secretariat itself?
I think that Secretariat was a bit dismissive of our scrutiny and concern that the scholarship will be actually going to this person. According to the register of the Secretariat, so far as he is concerned, need is not really a priority. All you need to have is an admission letter and be a Ghanaian. Then you qualify to have the scholarship.
Well, that's exactly what we've been finding out ourselves, Seth. And thank you very much for giving us a bit of that detail there. Carlos Kaloni has been speaking to the registrar of the Scholarship Secretariat, Dr. Kingsley Ejiman. According to him, applications are not assessed based on political cards of potential beneficiaries.
I'm not sure about the analysis. Not sure about it at all because it never came up in our discussion. So I don't know where they pick these data points from. In the first place, who do they even identify as political connectors of our party? So it's the data that they have put out there. We need to interrogate the data. Unfortunately, when they met me, they didn't approach me with this data. If they think they had a strong data analysis, by way of the analysis, and this is purely academic exercise, data needs to be interrogated. I'm a data person. Okay. So they should have brought this thing up.
So we're also learning also that the founder and chief executive of a private hospital in Accra, who recently contested and lost in the MPP parliamentary primaries in the Ashanti region, received as high as $50,000 plus US dollars. I mean, the specific figure is $50,031 for his master's public administration at Harvard University in the United States.
Is he a Ghanaian?
Yeah, Ghanaian.
Oh, okay. Then,
which is huge. How do you respond to that? This person contested.
And you think skill set is cheap? Skill set. Hey, where are we heading to?
So does that not confirm the fact? Okay.
I'm coming. And you mentioned a university.
Yes, Harvard University in the United States.
So what are we talking about? That's why I said, if you pick these outliners, we are building a portfolio. They had a data set that they have slept with it for over 3 years. And this is the kind of analysis?
Well, some needy but brilliant applicants have been sharing their frustrations of how the Secretariat rejected the applications even though they qualified.
My boss at the time, who was also, I served as a teaching assistant for him in the University of Cape Coast, who was, again, also close to the government, now heading one of the government-owned radio stations. he shared me the link. It was a WhatsApp message. These opportunities has opened. I should try and apply. So that's why I heard about the Get Scholarship Secretariat. So they send a link. Either you apply through that link and send some emails, or you send hard copies of your documents to an office in Accra. So I did both. I did the online application and also have somebody send my documents to the office in Accra. Never heard anything from them.
Well, a few applicants there to the Scholarship Secretariat expressing their frustrations with how tiresome it is to get through. Let's do some sports now. And Ms. Bao is here. Have you attempted to get a scholarship before through the Scholarship Secretariat?
No,
you haven't.
I haven't attempted. But let's hear from former Ghana captain Asamoah Gyan, because he's been speaking about the Black Stars and particularly the appointment of his former teammate John Pinto as an assistant of the team. Well, remember in March, Ghana coach Eto'o appointed Joseph Lohman, John Pinto and Fatah Dawda as his assistant. While a section of Ghanaians supported the appointment, another section opposed it, questioning John Pinto's readiness for the job. Now, speaking on Asempa FM earlier today, Asamoah Gyan said the role that was given to John Pinto was no more than his former teammate deserved, insisting that he has been preparing for this role for a long time.
We in a career no call South Africa. I call you assistant coach. Yeah. Until we share ni career after football na coaching na no. And I think say as an assistant, you know, a good man with your experience. And to me, I think that maybe for us, me share the record. Any Nyama why I think say to be an assistant coach for the national team, you know, it's not any problem.
Yeah, so that's Asamoah Gyan just making the point that, well, John Pinto spent time in South Africa after his career, where he was assistant coach of Orlando Pirates, and all of that experience did help him to position him for his current role as assistant coach of the Black Stars, and he believes that there is nothing wrong with his appointment, and he's backing him to succeed. And just finally, Asamoah Gyan, because he is embarking on a project which he has dubbed as All Regional Games, and which he's hoping to unveil this year. Well, he says that it's going to be a championship which will involve several disciplines and is aimed at reviving grassroots sports across the 16 regions in the country. He says the initiative requires each region to conduct trials and select their top sportsmen and women who will then compete against representatives from other regions. And according to Gyan, this nationwide competition will be a significant step towards unearthing the next generation of Ghanaian athletes across all disciplines. That's it for sports events.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. Now, satirist Kwekusen Mensah has advised persons in the creative industry to avoid using drugs. According to him, though drugs may temporarily boost creativity, they eventually destroy one's creative capacity. He spoke in the documentary put together by Joy FM's journalist Kwame Dadzi, titled Creative Addicts, which highlights the scourge of drug addiction among celebrities.
At one point in time, I left my comfort zone, my abode, and I came to Medina Ghetto, and I fraternized with rocks and wolves. I became a night owl, always on a wild goose chase.
This is Noah King, a presenter who once worked with a popular radio station in Accra in the early 2000s. Noah's exceptional presentation skills earned him a lot of admirers. But his promising radio career was truncated when he was plunged into an abyss of drug addiction.
It got to a point in time, instead of me going on air, I wouldn't go. I would say, Mufti Dabri, Najib Idisi, it is a go play for me. So it got to a point in time, despite says, no, it seems this guy has lost it, has lost focus. And apparently I was relieved of my duties.
Not only did Noah King lose his job, he also lost his family and resorted to sleeping in slums.
One day I went to town, and then before I came back, she packed bag and baggages and left unceremoniously with a young chap, Jaden, and they left. And when I came, I said, oh yes, beautiful. I love it that you guys went. Wow. Reasons being that the little that I have, I can use it to satisfy myself again.
Noah King is not the only Ghanaian creative that has suffered the scourge of drug addiction. Kiki Jan, Timothy Bentum, OJ Black, Nasty, Lord Kenya, Okonfo Kwade, Sugartone, and Red Eye of Two Top fame have been in this situation. According to satirist Kweku Sintim Misa, popularly known as KSM, the biggest push for drug use among talents in the creative industry is the ability of the drugs to evoke wild creative ideas.
They tell you that drugs will enlarge your creative horizon, that under normal circumstances you will not be able to. And surprisingly, there's some truth to it. However, trust me, if you rely on your natural and you give yourself enough time, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. The more you do it, the more at the same time it destroys that capacity. So you can be the greatest creative and everything, but later on you realize that it brings you down again very, very, very fast. So my advice is don't depend on any external high to get creative, because it will give you just that boost, but you can't depend on that boost.
Before you think about engaging in drugs to boost your creativity or for other recreational purposes, consider the harking effect it could have on your health, your finances, your family, and the community. Kwame Dazi, Joy News.
And that documentary is currently playing across our many social media platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on myjoyonline.com. You don't want to miss that. Just go there and watch it for yourself. And this is your election headquarters. Election headquarters is always brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, AICPA, and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and the German Ozone Medical Center. Alternative therapy, dental, wellness, and beauty. Tonight, some political parties are raising concerns over a proposal for the review of the constitutional instrument governing parliamentary election petitions by the Judicial Service. The proposal, if accepted by the Chief Justice, will mean that going forward, a petitioner in a parliamentary election case will have 7 days instead of the current 21 days from the day of declaration of results by the EC to file that particular case. And of course, the court will also have 15 days to make a determination on that particular matter. The parties say that particular proposal is simply not good enough.
I strongly believe that the 21 days is what we need. I mean, putting up a very solid petition requires and entails a lot of diligent work. You just don't want to put anything there and then use amendment to beef it up. No. If you are going, you are going. If you are not going, you are not going.
This is a position of the NDC that you are strongly against it?
Absolutely. We need the 21 days. I mean, we have used the 21 days for the past 30 years. If the thing is not broken, why would you want to fix it?
7 days is a bit too short, if you ask me, because for those of us who have been doing this thing for a while, yes, people think that it is just easy to put stuff together to contest an election petition, but you should take into consideration that this is an election which has been fought and won by a particular candidate.
And those are the political parties speaking to us at this particular event when this matter became a subject of some controversy. Now, children's rights violations, including neglect and forced marriages, dominate complaints at the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice Shraj over the last 2 years. 25 of the cases constitute early and forced marriages. The Deputy Commissioner of Shraj, Mercy Labi, speaking to Joy News, maintains that the case of the underage girl who was reported to have been married off to the Bobu deity here in the Greater Accra region is criminal.
And then 2020-23, there has been slight increase in the numbers of the complaints that we receive. Children's rights complaint alone was 3,509. When you look at our statistics, 2023, we received about 25 complaints on early and forced marriages. The complaints that we receive, when you trigger our complaint processes, we have to go through the complaint, then investigate the complaint and come out with our decision or recommendations, if any. The Children's Act has criminalized early marriages, and it goes on even to say betrothal is even a criminal offense. So betrothal is any kind of form We are not looking at whether to the human being or to the deity. The law says detractor in any kind form. So when we receive such complaints, as I've said, we investigate and come out with our decision. A lot of time that we have rescued these children from these marriages.
And that's it for News Night tonight. And guess who is taking over for me? Nima Do, who is making her way to the microphone now, jogging. Hello.
You sound like a football commentator.
I'm practicing, you know. When I
Hi,
leave this
Evans.
profession, when I leave this particular one, I want
You're
to be.
going to commentate.
Yes, I want to be a football commentator.
Oh, for real?
I'll be. Yeah, of course. I've been doing my practice anytime I'm watching the EPL and Manchester United is playing. You know, and the boys kicked over there, and you see the players running all the way, and they kicked into the pole. I'm not doing bad.
Don't quit your day job, mate. That's all life.
That's going to be my full-time job.
I see. Well, good luck.
What are you discussing
so
tonight?
question. If somebody asked you to describe a good woman, what would you say?
A good woman. A woman who can give me good food. Not that I like food
Not
much.
a good wife. A good woman.
But yeah, of course, it's part of that. I mean,
good food.
yeah, but why? Yeah, wait till a man's heart is through the stomach. It's number one on the list. Wow, absolutely. Ask any man.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's if I, boy, yeah.
Okay, all right, dog.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.